everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Cassia and I'm so happy you joined me today as we plan for the new month. Before we get into it, make sure you subscribe for more lifestyle and productivity content. So grab your bullet journal or planner or just a cup of your favorite cozy drink and let's get started. The theme I decided on this month is dark academia. I've seen so many cute TikToks about dark and light academia, which if you haven't checked out my TikTok, it's linked below. So I was surprised when I couldn't find many bullet journals, if any, with this theme. I kind of went down a Pinterest rabbit hole, saving a ton of dark academia aesthetic pictures to get inspiration for the vibe I was going for. There's a lot of gothic architecture in dark academia, which is what inspired this cover page. I decided against using a lot of colors in this theme, though if you keep watching you'll see how I just can't resist it sometimes, and only really used the Tombow dual-sided black marker, my 05 fine liner, and the soft-tip Tombow Funosuke brush pen. Everything was looking a bit flat, so I found some brown paper bags around my house and decided to use them as craft paper. These worked perfectly fine, so you definitely don't need to buy fancy cardstock or craft paper if you have any brown shopping bags laying around. I also used my cheap glue tape from the craft store to stick it into my journal. I have to say, I was super intimidated by the idea of using craft paper and scrapbooking materials in my bullet journal since I've never really done it before, and I always find myself fearing the way my journal is going to look in the end. But I think it's really good to experiment and get creative, especially when you have an idea that you're really excited about, as I was for this theme. I used my Tombow Funosuke soft tip brush pen for my title, and this was a struggle for me since I love doing my calligraphy for my title pages, but the serif font definitely fits the dark academia aesthetic way more than a bubbly calligraphy would. Next up is my monthly spread. This ended up being my least favorite spread of the setup, which is sad since I had such high hopes for it, and my layout idea for this spread basically birthed the rest of the theme. I realized after filming this spread that I titled the days incorrectly since it's supposed to start on Sunday, but I fixed it later, so don't worry. All my text for this setup was very gothic and typewriter-like, so if you have those serif-styled stamps, I definitely recommend using those for this theme. The idea for this spread was to make it look like each week of the month fell on a different bookshelf, sandwiched between tons of books. I used dark brown marker for my horizontal sectioning of the calendar and extended those lines to the ends of the pages to act as the shelves. I'm not really sure if I was able to achieve my vision, so let me know down below if it works. I left one shelf empty to put my YouTube tracker on the left with some craft paper. All the markers I used in the spread are my Crayola Super Tips, and I outlined them with my Pigma Micron fine liner. Occasionally, I'd outline the books in a different brown color than I used to fill them in to add some dimension to the book covers. I don't know why, but I always seem to gravitate towards these tans and cherry wood colors in my bullet journal, especially in the autumn months. It's probably why fall is my favorite season to bullet journal, coupled with the cozy vibes and loads of schoolwork that I have to plan for. For my YouTube box, I track the amount my channel has grown through subscribers as well as the number of videos I posted that month. I initially drew these little branches and flowers, and though they came out really cute, it did not fit the vibe at all, so I decided to bring in some more faux craft paper to cover it up. Also, quick tip for using bits and pieces of craft paper in your journal. If you're planning on drawing on that craft paper and you want your drawing to flow seamlessly from your notebook to the brown paper, I'd recommend initially outlining your full design in marker on your notebook so you can basically trace over that outline on your craft paper. Alright, you guys know the drill. It's time for my monthly playlist spread. I used another ripped out piece from the brown paper bag and glued it to the top corner of the page. All of the pictures that I used in these spreads came from Pinterest, so all credit goes to those artists. I didn't cut out my headings perfectly since I wanted the jagged edges to make it look more organic and scrapbooky. I'm trying a different layout for my playlist and I'm not too keen on how the songs turned out, so if you guys have a favorite layout for your playlist or any spreads in your journal, I'd love to see pictures of them and you can send them to my Instagram, which will be linked down below. My headings for these spreads were written on beige construction paper and I used masking tape to act as the washi tape. Basically, I did all this to show you that you can totally do this setup on a budget with things laying around your house, and pasting things into your journal is a faster way to a cute journal than drawing everything out. Wow, am I just gonna switch up my entire bullet journaling style just after trying this out for 1 month? Honestly, we'll just have to see. Moving on to my reflections page, I found this vintage Sherlock Holmes pamphlet that my sister got from the museum with lots of text and pictures, so I ripped out a page from there and used it as a backdrop for my heading. I took that same beige construction paper and ripped out a small piece for my title. To make my bullet journal even more of a scrapbook and fit the academia theme, I took apart this tan envelope and I rotated the flaps to turn it into a vertical layout. When I was opening the envelope up, some of the edges got a little frayed, but I just covered that up with some washi tape and then pasted the whole thing into my journal. Now I can write short letters or notes to myself about how my month is going, and it can act as a little folder of letters to look back on. The font that I'm using for my titles is the Tox typewriter from dafont.com, and on the website when you preview a font you can see how specific words would look in that font, which is what I did to copy them myself. Next, I added a content planner page for all my social medias like Instagram, TikTok, and of course YouTube. I always get ideas for posts or videos at the most random times, so I wanted to have a place in my bullet journal where I can just dump my ideas and refer back to whenever I'm in a slump, which, if I'm being honest, has been happening more often recently. I ripped a piece of my paper bag and glued it onto the right side of the page, placing some beige construction paper over for a place to write and some added contrast. I copied the same Dafont typewriter font for my title and numbered the days of the month along the edge of the paper to write in my scheduled posts for YouTube and Instagram. The calendar on the bottom left corner is just there for reference, and maybe I can highlight the days I'm posting for a better visual representation. This next spread was just for fun and mostly because I went a little overboard in the amount of inspo pictures I printed and I felt really guilty using all that ink for no reason. So I decided to put them to use in a mood board that would basically define the vibes I'm going for this month. I'd like to just take a moment of silence over my glue tape that literally died as I was pasting something into my journal, but I just replaced it with a good old-fashioned glue stick. I don't know why, but every time I look at this spread, I just feel so cozy and relaxed, and I think that's the beauty of bullet journaling to me. I can put in pages that may not serve any real function, but they make me happy and give me an outlet to be creative. Moving on to my first weekly spread, I opted for a simple, clean vertical layout. There's obviously not a lot of doodling involved with this setup, which honestly I'm happy about. Life is just so busy this time of year with midterms and then finals and the holidays approaching, so I can appreciate a setup where I can just make cute weekly spreads in under 10 minutes. I drew 6 vertical boxes with my fine liner, combining the days of the weekend. I ripped some black construction paper and glued it along the tops of the pages, making sure it covered most of the blank space above. Then I ripped a thinner piece of brown paper and laid it over top. I really like the look of the layers as it gives a lot of dimension to the page while being so simple to do. For the titles of the days, I filled in black circles with my Tombow Funosuke brush pen and wrote over that with my white paint pen. At the end, the page was still looking a little too simple and plain for me, so I added a little extra craft paper at the bottom corner of the page. I also cut out a picture of a girl holding books to paste on top. She was giving me studying in the library vibes, which went perfectly with the dark academia theme I was going for. Finally, we're at my quote page of the setup. I had a lot of purple paint spillage from my October plan with me, which if you haven't checked it out, you totally should after this video. So I placed the brown paper from my paper bag over it to cover it up. I had printed this picture of the statue twice accidentally, and the colors came out differently each time, so I decided to use one as a shadow for the other, and I really like the look of it. For the actual quote, I didn't want to write anything out, since I couldn't think of a quote that captured the dark academia aesthetic, and I was too lazy to write the entire quote out with my serif typewriter font. So I found this little excerpt from the Sherlock Holmes pamphlet that described what the pamphlet was used for. It talks about how the notebook is the detective's most important tool, which I thought fit perfectly for my bullet journal, since my whole life practically fits into this little book. So that is all for my November setup. This type of setup was very new to me, but I really enjoyed making it, and I'm kind of obsessed with how the theme turned out. Thank you so much for watching, and if you stayed till the end, let me know in the comments below what theme you're doing for November, because I get so inspired hearing your amazing ideas. As always, don't forget to subscribe with notifications on, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!